recording right now. Good evening, everybody. We are on the road. Right?
Cringe.
Right?
Cringe.
Man, that was a good song.
You gotta get a real intro made.
No, that's we can get one made, dude. My brother writes music. I can have him record something, and then I can just play that before
You're
every.
gonna need a real musician.
My brother is a real musician. He's good.
I'm just messing with you.
He's actually really good. If there's anything that he's good at is music and cooking.
Anyways, let's get on with tonight's topic.
All right. So I listened to anyways. There's really not much to watch. You just read the comments along with them or whatever. But I listened to quite a bit of them while I was writing Knicks Man and stuff today. And
well, let's. I know what you're talking about, but nobody that's eventually playing this right now knows what you're talking about. So I just want to say for everybody listening in that this episode of On the Road is pretty much going to be about the conduct of some comic pros on Twitter. Not that we can pull up any specific examples while I'm driving, but we'll mention a few examples. But there's tons of videos about this out on YouTube.
Well, what people are going to be able to see is just what I have right here on YouTube that's just open is the Diversity in Comics page that what I've been listening to, what you told me to listen to, and this current one that's on right now is SJW Comic Book Pros are worried about the success of hashtag Move the Needle, and
that's kind of not to interrupt, but a lot of the pros think there's something wrong with the movement. The movement is basically that the normies are the ones that buy comics, and the extremists and weirdos that they've been pandering to are the ones that don't buy it. So that part of the comic buying community are, well, I guess the comic fans, where that section right there that just wants a normal comic, not filled with propaganda, not shoving things down their throat. We just want normal stories, and we're showing that we're the ones that are buying comics. So now whenever we buy comics, we use hashtag Move the Needle, and we tag the companies, we tag some of the writers, artists, and editors, and we show them that the people that are good to the fans will buy their stuff. If they're going to call it idiots, like a lot of them have been, we're not going to buy their stuff.
Right. So my understanding of the Move the Needle movement is basically you're just giving props to all the awesome creators out there, and you're spreading their name through I guess a word of mouth or whatever, but through social media, but on a personal level. So like if you really like this issue of Spectacular Spider-Man, you'll talk about it in Twitter or whatever. You'll give a shout out to Zdarsky or whatever, then hashtag Move the Needle or whatever. And
that's pretty much how it is. And the thing about Zdarsky is, a few months ago, people didn't like how his Spectacular Spider-Man started. They thought the issues were goofy, try hard, they weren't funny. So not a lot of the people that are actually buying the comics liked it at the time, or at least didn't like that series. But he turned it around, and the last few issues of Spectacular have been better than Amazing Spider-Man, better than the main Spider-Man title. Zdarsky did a complete turnaround, and everybody loves him now. That's why we're all promoting Zdarsky. That's why we promote guys like John Malin and Ethan Van Sciver, because those two, they have YouTube, and they always talk to the fans on YouTube and Twitter. I've talked to Ethan a bunch of times outside of YouTube, outside of the videos, and he's a really nice guy, and he always gives me comic advice. So we're just promoting those dudes that actually care about us.
Right.
Because then you see guys like Ron Mars, who are all like, screw off, and they try to use people like Jack Kirby as a shield, which I posted He writes for normal people. He writes for the biggest audience. And these people aren't doing that. They're trying to be a small club. And I posted these quotes, and Colleen Doran, I was a fan of her art. Now I'm never buying a single one of her books. She took the first quote. She didn't even use a screenshot of what I was saying. She took that quote and twisted my words, used a little backward one sentence, 10 or so I probably had, and she tried to make me look like an idiot without even mentioning me. So I replied to her tweets with screenshots of mine, saying like she should have included all this too. She completely ignored it.
Wow. And I mean, for like any sort of business or whatever, that's never really the best way to go about anything. You want as many customers as possible when you're making a product, and like whether you figure out how to make the best toilet paper in the world, or you can make awesome coffee tables or whatever, dude. You're not gonna I'm not gonna sell to you. I'm not gonna sell these tables to you because you're a fucking Trump supporter or fucking what. You're gonna sell your tables to everybody, and you're gonna want everybody to buy your table. Fucking like. And that's the same thing. This goes with every type of business. And then you got these people that are bashing the people that ultimately fucking sign their paychecks in the grand scheme of things. And now they're getting mad because they're getting low book sales or whatever. And they're trying to blame it on the rich white man being owners of the big two, and because they'll talk about how all the indie companies like Image and shit are flourishing, and which they're all pretty much about the same, I think, at this point. But haven't done any.
The indie companies, you mean, are all the same, or you mean like all the companies, including the big two?
Like all. The big two and the few major indies like Image and Dark Horse and whatever, Archie.
Well, if you look at like Comicron, which is the website that they post the previous month's sales from, but that's just from the publishers to the shops. That's not how many the fans actually bought. If you look at the Comicron, it shows Marvel still has the biggest share. Then DC is next. Then after those two, they have the biggest shares. It's Image and then Dark Horse, but it's only like a 4% difference between Image and Dark Horse. And then after that, they're all pretty much the same. Image is slightly ahead still of all the other indie companies, but they're all really super close after Image, and Image is still close with them, but they're just a little bit ahead.
That's what I'm saying. They're all pretty much like roughly the same. Like the big two are obviously going to be like ahead because that's. You ask anybody about comics, they're gonna know about Marvel and DC, and then like there's some people that don't know the difference or whatever, and there's all that. But you can ask any common man about comic books, they're gonna know about Marvel and DC. They might not all know about Image and Dark Horse or whatever. And so of course that's always gonna do better or whatever in this little long run until other things start getting more press or more notice or. I mean, probably. I think a lot of the indies are at a really good place, though. If the ones that are at the shelves that you can get monthly and stuff, I'm pretty sure they're all at a really good, like, comfortable place to just be at.
I think a lot of the indies are on the rise right now because they're giving fans what they want.
Yeah.
DC is still consistently giving the fans what they want. It's mostly Marvel has. They've made a bunch of terrible decisions, but they're getting back on track now that C.B. Cebulski is the editor-in-chief. He was a talent scout. He was a talent scout for years, and he just loves comics. You can tell. He loves two things. He loves comics and he loves food. So he doesn't want to show like propaganda down people's throats. Yeah. Like there were literally Marvel comics, and you could just find these if you watch some of the videos from the big comic book channels, but there were literally Marvel comics that turned away readers because it said, if you voted for Trump, you're a Nazi. And while I'm not a big fan of the dude, I know a bunch of great people that voted for him. There were also a bunch of bad people that voted for him, but you can't just turn away readers based based on who they voted for.
And that's what I was touching on, or I was starting to touch on a little bit ago, where like you got these people that are turning away fans that ultimately sign their paychecks, whatever, and they'll blame it on whatever who's in charge of these companies instead of looking at their content. And then when you have fans telling them, no, it's your content that's why I'm not buying this title anymore, because like I can't. I don't agree with what, and then if you have multiple fans telling you this, and you're just blocking them instead of actually listening to them, then now it's you're not going to grow in your skill. I mean, Marvel, I give Marvel credit for one thing. They gave all these people a chance, and then they took a lot of risks. They took a lot of risks. They took a lot of risks giving all these people a chance, and then these people failed. And then they're mad at Marvel. Like, Marvel didn't have to give you a job. They have all these other people they have on their roster that they could have had on these books, and they could have been great, you know. But
yeah, because pretty much most people would take a job at Marvel.
Yeah.
I mean, there were times I did want to. Now I probably wouldn't do any work for hire stuff, but you know, a few years ago I would have said, yeah, sure, I'd take the job. And I think most people that want to get into comics would take the job.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but they did turn away way too many people, and there's some people are still doing it. Like Kurt Busiek, I couldn't even tell you what the dude writes. I follow him on Twitter, but I just follow pretty much most pros on Twitter, even if I don't read their books.
Right.
But he was trying to tell.
Except for the ones who blocked you.
No, only a couple people blocked me, but that's because they use BlockBots. There was nothing I said personally. I'm usually pretty respectful. I try to be as much of a gentleman as possible when I talk to them.
I feel if you just follow diversity in comics, you'll get hit by BlockBots.
Dude, that's exactly what happened. That's what happened to me with Dan Slott. The only times I ever tweeted at Dan Slott was I was telling him he's my favorite Spider-Man writer of all time. Yeah. I follow a few YouTubers he doesn't like, so I get hit with the BlockBot. But what I was trying to say about Kurt Busiek was he's trying to convince me that the fans aren't the ones keeping him employed. We're not the customers. So he tries to tell me, this part's weird because I don't even know how he knew. Because he tells me, you're a Stephen King fan, right? And then after he said that, I go to my Twitter. He's not following me. I go to my Twitter, and I look at my bio. I look at my last, 20 or 30 tweets. No mention of Stephen King. I'm following over 800 people. So I don't know how on earth he knew I'm a Stephen King fan. Because I hadn't retweeted him in a while or mentioned him in a while. And he tells me, you're a Stephen King fan, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, Stephen King got where he is because he wrote for himself. He wasn't writing for fans. And I tell Kurt, I'm like, Kurt, in September I had seen Stephen King in person when he was on a book tour with his son Owen, and they were talking about a book called Sleeping Beauties that they co-wrote, and it was basically just listening to them talk about it for a while. And they read a few pages of it. But Stephen, like I've seen him doing so many interviews I've watched, told the crowd directly, we are the reason that his kids were able to go through college. He said, we are the ones that paid for his house. We're the ones that paid his kids' college tuition. We're the ones that paid for his whole life. Yeah, see, so he acknowledges us as being the fan. I don't know how Kurt could try to use that as an example.
When you create, I mean, yeah, you want to write for yourself or draw for yourself or whatever for yourself, but if you're trying to gain an audience or sell that stuff, you also got to find a happy medium where you can still keep most of your original vision, but also appease to an audience at the same time. So you gotta and in the art you gotta sacrifice, especially if you're trying to make money or whatever off that shit. Get them fucking M's in your hand. You gotta sacrifice some of your original idea. And especially the more and more people that get involved with your work. Like I hear this stuff with Kevin Smith when he's making movies. If it's a bigger production, there's going to be more hands on deck. Less and less of his original vision is going to be used because all the heads involved, whatever. When there's less people involved, he gets to do his vision, but he has a lot less money and shit to work with. So it's you gotta be able to think ahead and be able to just try to have your original vision, be able to do both. And
this is how. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, I was done. That was perfect time. That was perfect time.
But the way I see it is, when you're writing an independent comic, you're writing for your own company or you're writing for like Image or something. Nobody knows your characters, so you could write for yourself, but you're still supposed to include a few things that people, the broad scope of people will like. But when you're writing for when it's work for hire, and Spider-Man is Spider-Man, and he's been around since the 60s, and everybody knows how he is and who his villains are, you're supposed to write him in a way that appeals to the most people, and that's why he did so well. They had him in Amazing Fantasy 15 was his first appearance, and it was a dying title. They were going to cancel it, that's why they put him in the last issue. So, and then that dying title, it just took off. Everyone's like, oh, we love Spider-Man, we need it ongoing now, and that's why there's almost 800 issues of just Amazing Spider-Man, just the main title.
Oh, yeah.
They did something right, but now
we got to thank.
Now people want to. Sorry. I just want to say that now what's happening is people are stuffing their own agendas into these titles, and that's why people stop buying them, because they pick up an Avengers comic and it's not the Avengers. They pick up an X-Men comic, it's not the X-Men. It's just a bunch of propaganda. It's just a bunch of if you're this, you're a terrible person. If you're that, I don't like you. And then they get on Twitter and they double down on it. They're like, yes, I don't want any Trump supporters. And then some people have straight up said, I hate seeing happy white people at Christmas time. I hate seeing them in Christmas commercials. It's crazy, the stuff that has been going on without Marvel kicking these people out.
Wow. Oh, yeah, I did listen to the one video. There was that one writer that like nobody ever heard of, whatever. She happens to be lesbian or whatever, and she was at a Christmas.
Oh, Gabby Rivera?
Yeah, Gabby Rivera. Yeah. That's right. Yeah,
oh,
and
man, she's insane. She said, not to take away your point, but the one that annoyed me the most was she said, if you're somebody's guest at Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner,
this is the one I was listening to. Yeah, that was the one I was listening to. She said a bunch of wild shit in that whole one. And listening to this and listening to the process, like how and thinking about this episode, I was listening to this and my phone was charged at the time, but I wanted my phone with me because I was just gonna open up a memo pad and just take down a bunch of bullet points for just the topics of discussion and stuff. And I think I'm gonna just do that anyways with the other shows I do. But yeah, I wanted to put down some bullet points, especially when he was roasting the Gabby Rivera as he was going on her comments or whatever, and everybody else was roasting her, dude. Like bitch, why are you so salty? And all this shit,
like she's an idiot, and she's an idiot with next to no sales. And here's the thing about Marvel: when you look at the Comic-Con and you see how many they ship, that's how many they ship from them to the stores. Marvel does this thing where they overship, so they send a bunch of free issues, but it's free in quotes because they charge for more shipping.
Yeah.
They charge the retailers for extra shipping, but they give them a bunch of free issues.
Yeah.
So then you look at she wrote a character called America Chavez, and that would sell like 7,000 to 8,000 issues. That's overshipped. So it could have even sold like 2,000 or 3,000, and Marvel just sent a bunch of extra issues out just so it looks like she actually had sales. But she could be an idiot. She could sell next to nothing. They're effectively making no money on her title, which has been canceled. It took them long enough. But she could be an idiot. But then I could directly talk to people like Eric Larson, who he was one of the founders of the current third biggest comics publisher. He takes his time to talk to me. He's talked to me plenty of times. I wouldn't say we're buddies, but he's at least answered my questions before.
Right.
Or Ethan Skyver, he's hands down the nicest comic pro I've ever met. I haven't met him in person, just online. I've only met him online, but you go into any library and you will find at least these two books in any graphic novel section. It'll be Flash Rebirth and Green Lantern Rebirth. He did the art on both of them. Jeff Johns wrote them, and that's one of the most popular DC comics of all time, pretty much. Or those two are two of the most popular DC comics of all time.
Nice.
And
of all time?
The big artists for like 20 years now, and he'll take the time to talk to all the fans. I mean, it's rare that he doesn't answer your question. These guys are genuinely nice, but then I don't know how these weirdos still have a job. Well, I guess Gabby doesn't have one now, but most of them still have jobs writing at Marvel would be rude, or writing at IDW, or even if you Image. I won't buy some Image books, and Image is my favorite company. I won't buy some because some people are so terrible to the man.
I was upset to hear about like Mark Waid like throwing hissy fits with stuff at the studio and at the office and at work and stuff.
Me too.
I was really upset to hear about that because I have a whole bunch of his Daredevils that Brandon recommended to me to get a bunch, and I haven't read any of them yet. But I was gonna start, because for a while they just reminded me of jail because I went and bought these comics and then I got pulled over on my bicycle and went to jail for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And
But Mark Waid, I met him in 2016.
Yeah.
I didn't talk to him for long, and this dude with his brights on behind me is like blinding me. But Mark Waid, he was a nice dude when I met him. Only talked to him for like 5 minutes, but he signed some comics for me. He's a nice dude, so that one really blows. That he's a jerk to a lot of these people, and he always throws hissy fits. If you read his like latest issue of Captain America, is a bunch of more propaganda. How he's saying, I haven't read it yet, but I heard a couple reviews. Basically, how he thinks the way he wrote it is in the future, and there's after another Trump presidency, and it's going to be a bunch of white supremacists ruining us from like the inside. And I don't know. He just feels it will. And I'm going to acknowledge that there are a few white supremacists, but I don't think he can accurately portray his thoughts of the future in that Captain America book. Now, if he wants to write a little article about his thoughts, then sure, but I don't think Captain America is a book where you could start filling it with your own propaganda.
I mean, I could see Captain America doing that in like maybe a couple issues, like a little 3-4 issue arc or something, but nothing that's gonna take on like a whole like 20 issue span or like something long and major. You know, I could see Captain America doing something like that for like a couple missions or whatever here and there, definitely. But yeah, nothing for the long run, like because Captain America is about all the people. And he's gonna be going on all sorts of fucking missions, you know, like.
Yeah.
What Captain America is it? Is it Sam Wilson Captain America?
No, it's back to Steve Rogers, but there's been a lot of wacky stuff, like how Steve was a Hydra agent, and then I guess there's like a bad clone, good clone kind of thing going on. It's kind of weird. I don't keep up with Cap.
Right.
Because I tried over the last few years, but it's nothing good. I've read a few older Cap issues, and they're really good. I feel they need to have they got to have the correct writer on Cap. I don't think Mark Waid is the guy for Cap anymore. I think Mark Waid's a little bored with superhero comics. That's just the vibe he gives me. Him and Dan Slott. Like I said, I have nothing against Dan Slott. He's my favorite Spider-Man writer. Superior Spider-Man is probably my favorite Marvel story ever. But lately, he's been really nerfing Peter. Like he's made Peter lazy. He's made him an idiot. He's made him a crybaby living on Mockingbird's couch and wearing "Ask Me About My Feminist Agenda" shirts. Which, again, I'm all for feminism, but still, it's like it's been on shirts, it's been on posters. They've been just shoving it everywhere, and it's fine to do it in certain ways. But I feel the more you stuff it down people's throats, the more annoying it will get, even from somebody who agrees with their views. Like, I agree with a lot of the liberal politics, but I still don't like it being shoved everywhere because comics are usually supposed to be escapism.
Yeah, like when I'm buying comics, when I'm looking at the shelves or whatever, when I'm scrolling through the shelves, I'm looking for like I'm gonna buy Spectacular Spider-Man, but what got me hooked on it was how silly it was and how much down to the roots to original Spider-Man, like the original Amazing Spider-Mans from the '60s and shit were. You know, that's what got me hooked on it. It was like, oh man, this is a cool Spider-Man story. You know, he's not dating anybody. There's no Mary Jane in this shit anymore, dude. It was. And
well, I actually want Mary Jane to come back because she's been gone for too long now. But I think she's in like one title, but it's like I don't think that title's in continuity.
I don't mind that she's gone or whatever, but it was just it's cool to see a bachelor Peter going around fucking doing this shit or whatever.
I agree with that though, because I like how he was in the '90s cartoon for most of it. How he was always like this girl or is it gonna be that girl, you know?
Yeah. And like and then now he's dating a girl, but he's not dating a girl as Peter. He's dating a girl as Spider-Man, and so that brings in a different twist. Like they go out on dates and shit, and he's Spider-Man on their dates, and it's
yeah. But you see, that's what people come to comics for. Is for a good story. A lot of what they've done lately is played identity politics, which I guess at times, sure, some things. Straight identity could fly, but usually identity politics can get about as racist as it gets. Like they said, okay, this character's a lesbian, we need a lesbian to write her. This character is black, we need a black person to write them. Which there's nothing wrong with a black person writing a black character. That's not what I'm saying. But recently, that's what they've done. They haven't hired people on talent. Insiders have said this, not to me, but to others, and there's been a lot of leaks about this where it's just, okay, we hired them because they have the same sexuality and skin color as this character.
Yeah.
Which that is one of the most great things you could ever do. Because me, I buy a comic because I see people as more than their skin color or sexuality, which is like the 851st most important thing about you or most interesting thing about you. Like there's oceans more interesting things about somebody. So when I started reading Invincible, I had turned 18, and I was reading, I had extra birthday money, so I picked up the first paperback, and I was reading it, and Mark Grayson, who's Invincible, at the time, he was just turning 18, and I had been in college for a year. He was starting college. He had a job he hated. I had a job I hated.
Yeah.
And there were ways I could relate, and he's a white, I guess he's part alien, but, I mean, he's a white guy by all means, and I don't look at him like, oh, he's white, I can't relate. I look at him and I see he's a person, he struggled, he has this going on in his life, and I can relate.
Right.
And there should be that part where you could relate to the real life things, but a lot of it is escapism because it's not focusing on, oh, poor Mark, he hates his job, and it's not that for 20 issues. It's okay, this is him, these are his problems, and now he has an adventure where there's different dimensions. He fights in different versions of him from other dimensions. He fights this alien, that alien. There's adventures in space. There's tons of other heroes, and we even see the other heroes get their own story arcs for a few issues, and it's a big adventure. And while they do tackle some problems of hating your job, hating college, most of it's an adventure, but a lot of what Marvel's done recently, which I've seen a few times now that they're correcting it, is most of the time they're like, I'm black, therefore everybody in America hates me. That's the whole issue, that's the whole arc that's turning a lot of readers away. They completely forgot about the adventure. But recently, since we got CB Sabatini instead of Axel Alonso, I've noticed tons more action in the comics. I've noticed much more adventure and a lot of better stories. Now, there's still been a bunch of problems, but I've noticed more better stories just in the last 2 or 3 months than I noticed in the last 2 years.
Wow. So, I'm looking at the credits for my Rocko's Modern Life #2, and apparently they actually do have a Wallaby writing for Rocko.
They have a what now writing for him?
They have a wallaby. You know how Rocco's a wallaby. They have a wallaby. They don't have a human writing for Rocco. They have a wallaby writing for this. So like they're getting pretty progressive with that. Like I didn't know you could do that, and I think it's pretty neat.
And you know, I'm totally fine with titles that get where it's a black character and somebody black writes them, but I think what happened with Christopher Priest, who's I know he changed his name to Christopher Priest. I forget what his original name was. I guess that's how you say it. But he changed his name to Christopher Priest, and he's a black writer, and you know he got in a few decades ago based off merit and talent, like you should get in. You shouldn't get in based off your skin color. He got in based off talent. He's a great writer, and I guess he stopped writing because at some point Marvel and I think DC as well were all like, "Oh, we got to have you on this character because they're black."
Yeah, we need you. We need you to write black characters and not the stuff that you want to do and the stuff that you're good at.
That is one of the most racist things I've ever heard, because I would hate if I were to write at Marvel and they're like, "We need you to write an Arabic character because you're Arabic." I like writing all kinds of characters. I love writing women. I love writing a diverse cast of people. It's cool writing different people as different people. And I don't need to be a woman. I don't need to be black to write somebody that's a lady or write somebody that's black. I write a comic that's not published yet called Hourglass. My protagonist is black, and I write him as a person. I write him as a normal dude. I don't write him as surface level black.
Yeah, when I first read when you read the first few scripts for Hourglass, I had no idea he was black until you told me. And then when you get further on, it gets apparent because he's going into the past. He's going back in time where like no, it's dangerous to be black, I mean it still kind of is, but it was a lot more dangerous in like the 50s and shit. And
yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. There are still a bunch of social issues, and I know there is still plenty of racism, and I've seen it on Facebook. You know, videos of people getting discriminated simply because they're black, and it was back in the '60s. So that was something very to write when I was writing Hourglass, but I don't want to get too much into that. I don't want to spoil a comic that hasn't even been published yet. But there's right ways and wrong ways to tackle people of races and sexualities. And if you're writing somebody that's the opposite gender or the same gender, there's right and wrong ways to handle it.
Oh man,
I don't think quite well.
I'm actually going back and reinventing some of the characters that I made up throughout my life, whatever. The director that I have for Team Evolution, it was always a male alien, and now I've changed it into a female alien. And there's a bunch of other characters I've changed. That one's is the first one that comes to my head. But I've changed a lot of because most of my characters I came up with was a kid were big strong fucking men or whatever, big strong alien men, and then because that's all I knew how to draw, because that's what I saw on comics or whatever, and that's just what I knew how to draw, and that's what I knew how to design or whatever. And now I'm getting to a point where I'm not drawing my characters anymore. I'm just doing a basic design, and I've been reinventing. I've been turning a lot of stuff into this guy doesn't need to be white. I can turn him black or whatever, and I can turn this person into a woman. It doesn't affect the story or whatever in any sort of way. And so I've been transforming a lot of stuff because and it's characters I can write easy. There might be some where if I'm writing like a black story, I might want to get a black editor on it just to see if what I'm doing is like what I'm doing wrong or what I'm doing right or whatever, you know. But I'm still gonna write it and try to stick to my original vision as much as I can. You know, like any creator should, but there's always going to be stuff that you need to change because either due to ignorance or like a lack of understanding, which is sort of the same thing, or just a lack of ability, or something you can.
When I sit down to write, I rarely ever think of a race. It was only there's only been a couple times where I'm like, this person has to be black, this person has to be white. There's only a few times where it's like that. And I sat down the other day because I met this artist on Twitter named Terrence, and me and him figured we'd make a little mini series or something to pitch to Image Comics. So I wrote the first issue, and he was going through it and making just like, wow, I didn't even think about that, because race is literally the last thing on my mind. I just want to tell a great story. So
part of that cut off. The most important part of that sentence cut off of what you were saying.
Sorry. Let me try to rephrase it, or remember how I phrased it. What I was saying was I met a guy named Terrence on Twitter. He's an artist, so we figured I'll write him a little mini-series. We'll both come up with the story, I'll write it, he'll draw it, and we'll pitch it to Image. And I recently wrote the first script, and I sent it to him, and he was making notes. And he messages me with a few questions. He's like, what race are these guys? And I'm like, well, I didn't even think about that, because race is literally the last thing on my mind when I write. And so I told him, maybe they're white, maybe they're mixed, and they could be literally anything he wants, because it doesn't matter. It's just going to be a little adventure. It's going to be a horror story, but it's about three siblings, and it's just going to be their adventure. Their race is literally the least important thing about this. Besides comics, I write horror stories. I write short horror stories, and occasionally I'm going to write some just straight horror novels that are just one story. But I'm finishing up self-publishing my second collection of short horror stories, and I don't know if I've ever mentioned a race in any of them. In the first book, there's 81 stories. In the second one, there's 40. I don't know if I've ever mentioned a race. I mentioned genders, but I don't often mention many descriptions besides how beautiful somebody looks or how ugly they look, how tall they are, fat they are.
Yeah.
I'll describe their eyes or their hair, but the last thing that's important is their race, because there's nothing wrong with if I said they were white or if I said they were black. There's nothing wrong with that. But personally, I like when people imagine the characters for themselves. If it's not a comic, if it's a comic, I'll mostly leave it up to the artist to draw them however way they want. Granted, I'm going to have a few specifics about their character, but for the most part, when it's a novel or a short story, I like people to imagine them, how they perceive them based on the story and their actions and very brief descriptions. Like sometimes I'll describe them having anxiety, and that takes a shape in your mind when you think of somebody that has anxiety. You think of them right off the bat as an introvert, as somebody that's quiet, that keeps to themselves, so it's like, all right. And then I say they have pretty hair, and that starts to take a shape. Well, maybe not specifically the words pretty hair, but I'll say, okay, her hair is shoulder length and with not a single hair out of place, and then it starts to form the image of a little quiet girl with shoulder length hair, and then you take on your own little details. Like if I said I'm driving down the street in a silver car, and there's a blue car in front of me, and there's an empty lot on my right, there's a Wendy's on my left, and you start to envision them in your own little way, and you add in your own little details. Like I say, my book bag is in the back seat. Someone's going to imagine a blue one. Someone's going to imagine a black book bag, a small book bag, a big book bag. It all depends on who you are, and that's something I like to do in short stories. I like to let people just perceive them how they want.
Yeah, keep all the descriptions vague and just let the reader go into their own imaginative world. That's always a good idea,
Yeah, in comics we have to be a little more specific. That's why sometimes I'll be a little more specific. I'll say maybe give this girl hair that's extra long, or I'll say maybe make this guy a little pudgy or something. I don't know. I'll have to be a little more specific when we get to comics, but for
because each frame each frame is gonna it's gonna have something that has something to do with the story. So yeah, you do have to be a little bit more specific with the comics, and then you're writing to an artist that you want them to be able to portray the same or at least a similar feeling that you had when you were writing it, or that you want the story to portray. So yeah, you do got to be a little bit more descriptive when you're writing any sort of script. Really, it's the same thing with plays and stuff too. Comics probably just a little bit more, just because an artist has to translate it directly onto.
Yeah, and another thing about not adding in specifics in all the short stories is there are some readers that it is important to them if the character is Arabic, if the character is gay. To some people, it is really important to them if the character is nearly exactly like them, and that's the beautiful thing about. I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything. I'm not trying to say my stories are amazing, but I'm saying that's the beautiful thing about my short stories is one person can read it, and if it's important for the character to be black, then this character I wrote can be black to them by all means. Another person, if they want to imagine the character as white, then sure, they could imagine him as white, because there's nothing set in stone about most of my short stories. So that's one thing for people, that it's important to them to look like the character.
Yeah, but until we start doing our Tales from the Crypt style variety, or not really variety show, but little horror show, now they're gonna be all live action, and now they're gonna be like, oh, I never imagined that character to look like that. Fuck, or when you read the first Harry Potter, and they describe Hermione, and it doesn't look anything how she looked in the movie or whatever, and a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people were upset at first, and then it was until the internet got bigger, and then the movie got more popular, and the franchise got more popular. People were like, "No, dude, she was supposed to be black, and they ruined her with fucking whatever her name is, Emma Watson." Like, no, dude, she's a fine actress, dude. She did a good job. She played the part, dude. She did what she was supposed to do. Fucking, if she can still be black in the books if you want her to be. Like they're not necessarily the same universe, dude. The books and the movies are an alternate universe of each other that share a similar timeline and aspect and shit, but they're not the same.
That's the cool thing is when it gets to movies, and not to get too off track. That's something I like, is when the movies change it up a bit. I think some people get too obsessed with books and comics, or I mean the movies being too much like the books and comics, but that's the cool thing is the movies can change things up, give them their own unique spin.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was this morning I was watching Nostalgia Critic on Channel Awesome, and he had a video about the appropriate time to make a reboot or to redo a story, and he brought up a lot of good topics on that, and there was one he was really upset about, because this one person went to remake what's that fucking movie, the Bates Motel and all that shit. I can't think of the title.
Psycho.
Yes, someone remade Psycho, and it was
that was in the 90s.
Yeah, and it was frame by frame, and it was stupid. It was like, what's the point of redoing a movie if you're gonna do the exact same shit, dude? What it really came down to in the topic was you want to stay true to the original source material while also trying to reinvent your own thing, and
sorry, you go on.
No, yo, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, to me, there's a few movies I would say are off limits. They should never get a reboot or a remake or anything. Just off the top of my head, I would say Psycho is one of those. I've never seen that remake, and I never cared to, because it is frame by frame.
Right, there's no point.
Citizen Kane's another one. No reboot or remake ever needed. Goodfellas. I just rewatched that for the first time in like maybe 5 or 6 years. I forgot how good Goodfellas was. Like Eric had posted something about it on Facebook being back on Netflix, and I remembered I really liked the movie, so I was like, sweet, I'm gonna watch this good movie. But I was blown away by it. Maybe it's because I'm a lot older now, and watching it when you're 15 and not really understanding it. Not saying it's a difficult movie to understand, but for a 15-year-old, it might just like go over his head. You might not understand how really good it is until you watch it like as an adult. But like now that I rewatched it, it's one of my top favorite movies. That one should never get a remake.
I haven't seen that one in a long time, but yeah, go on, keep going.
But there are a few classics I would say like at some point need a remake or reboot, and a lot of people are going to get mad at me, but I would not mind seeing Star Wars remade. Just with the new technology, it's crazy the stuff they could do now to that series. I would not mind seeing Star Wars rebooted.
Yeah, that's not a bad. It's really if you can make it better, if you can find a way to make something better. Like when you look at the Brendan Fraser like mummy movies, like they were a mummy reboot, but they were also their own original thing. They weren't doing the old like the monster, like what Universal Pictures is trying to do now with the Mummy and Dracula and shit. They're trying to make that dark universe, and and their first installment was a flop apparently. So like you gotta give the Brendan Fraser mummy, like as ridiculous and as silly as they are, you gotta give them props for actually being like successful and actually being able to do their own thing with the Mummy franchise, and it was good. Like I was a little kid when they came out, and I really liked the first one. I didn't care as much for the second one or whatever, but then it had spin-offs and like with the Scorpion King and shit. It was a big deal, and it was popular. It was good.
Sorry, but too many people won't take off their nostalgia goggles or whatever. They're too blinded by the past. Like the Halloween reboot. I'll admit the second one I didn't really like, but the first one of the Halloween reboot, I liked it more than the original Halloween. And
Yeah.
I really like both of those. I like most of the Halloween movies, but the Rob Zombie reboot, the first one, I had like next to no problems with it. I don't understand the hate, but that's a really good example.
That's the one with him as a little kid, right?
Well, they both started out with him as a little kid, but the reboot dealt a little bit more with it, I think.
Well, yeah, in the reboot they show him at the institution. They show him like at school and all. Like they show him like a good third to half of the movie with him as a little kid, right?
I wouldn't say half. It was less than half, but yeah, close enough. But I don't know. So that's a good way to put like your own new spin on it. And while you acknowledge the past, you also try to set out and do something different. But there are some like Black Christmas, one of my favorite horror movies. I think it's from it came out before Halloween, but like not a lot of people like really acknowledge this movie as being one of the good 70s slasher movies. It gets overlooked a lot, but Black Christmas from I think it was 74, I want to say. Black Christmas was a good one, and then in like 2006 they remade it. They are two totally different films. Like, there's hardly a thing in common between the two. So they both had good points. I think I like the 70s one a little bit more. But reboots like Black Christmas, they rarely ever have anything in common, which is okay, but I don't see the reason to keep the name.
One of my favorite reboots of all time is it's the first Magnificent Seven, not the one that came out a couple years ago, but there was one that came out in like the 70s or so, and it's a reboot of this 1954 Japanese movie called The Seven Samurai, and it's the exact same story, exact same characters. Well, they have different names, but they have like the exact same, almost the exact same dialogue. but it's a western instead of a samurai thing, and it works really well. It fits perfect, and it's it's done really well, and I like it a lot. And it was also rebooted as an anime, but the anime is really silly. I mean, not silly; it's really super serious. But like they turned it like a 2 hour movie into like a 26 episode show, so they had to stretch it out a bit, and they gave the characters more character.
Well, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm parked now, so.
All right, man, we are off the road.
That's a good way to end it. With off the road.
Yeah.
All right. Well, see ya.
Yep. See you guys next week.